Just look at this, some of the best mobile games of the year released this month, including my new personal favorite RPG game. And no, it's not Honkai Star Rails. I know, but today we're gonna talk about what's great and maybe not so great about these games. But hold on, what is that behind your ear? Aha! 5 keys for a brand new game by the publishers of Dead Cells. I think I'm gonna give those away toward the end of the video. So just hang tight and let's dive into 4 games I've played myself, 3 that were covered on Mini Review, and 6 brand new games I think look awesome. One of those games that released just a few weeks ago is Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. And if you're an old fart like me, you might remember this fantastic hack and slash action RPG released for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2001? Did I read that right? Man, time flies. Well, it took them 21 years, but here it finally is out on mobile after getting ported to PC in 2021. So if you like action RPGs, this is a true masterpiece of gaming history, and you can get it for $10 on Android or iOS. Pocket City 2 is also out now, and what's really cool is that while the first Pocket City game was simply a great city builder simulation game, this sequel turns the franchise into a fully 3D game with a world we can explore with our own character. So we still have to manage the city, but we can now also drive around town to find loot and play fun minigames. The game is honestly almost becoming a mix of a city builder, an open world game like GTA, and a life simulator like the Sims games, and it only costs $5 US. And at the very end of April, we also got Omega Strikers, which is basically a 3 versus 3 real-time multiplayer football brawler. There are 15 unique characters to pick from with different abilities, and while it is a free game that could super easily become pay to win, it seems to have been very well received so far, even over on Steam on PC, where it has an 87% positive review score. We'll get back to more of these quick-fire game recommendations, but I also played Honkai Star Rails recently to figure out if it's actually worth checking out for you guys. So here's my breakdown of what I liked and disliked about this brand new game from the developers of Genshin Impact. Overall, it is a turn-based strategy game, but what sets it apart from most other games in this genre is that it takes place in this large 3D universe that we explore to complete quests and expand the story. So the pros or advantages of this game are that everything has an English voiceover, and the story is actually decent, unlike many other games in this genre. The whole experience is also perfectly crafted and polished, the combat skills look awesome, and there are no needless menus. Despite the gacha unlocking system for heroes, the entire game can also be completed for free, and then lastly, it's actually a really fun game to play, if you like the genre that is. On the other hand, the downsides are that the auto system during combat eventually takes over, and there's relatively little incentive to play manually. The strategic combat system also isn't super deep, and the game is incredibly slow in the beginning, and you have to sit through hours of story-based interactions. I gotta admit that when I first saw this game, I really did expect to heavily dislike it, but I actually didn't. It's not necessarily the best game ever made, but it is definitely the highest quality game in this team-based strategy genre. So if you've got 7 GB of space left and you enjoy these games, it's worth checking out as a free player. But now for what has actually become my new favorite RPG game, Vendir: Plague of Lies. This is a new game from the developers of Vampire's Fall Origins, and one of the big differences in Vendir is that we now control a whole party of heroes that we equip with unique loot and upgrade skills for. The game features a large open world you can freely explore, an intriguing and somewhat disturbing story, and an amazing combat system, so it's pretty close to the perfect game for old school RPG fans. Another thing I really like about this game is that we have almost complete freedom. For example, a quest may task us with killing a bandit, but we can simply decide to let it live and still hand in the quest by lying to the quest giver. How cool is that? Now, the actual combat is turn-based, and as we progress in the game, most of our characters quickly acquire 5 to 6 skills each, which creates a lot of synergy opportunities. Since the HP for our characters is persistent and we need to craft food to recover it, the game is rather hardcore though, so just do be warned. Vendir is free to play with a few in-app purchases to open chests we occasionally find, and then incentivized ads for extra gold, but none of this is at all necessary to complete the game. I really loved playing this game, and I think you will as well, so it's an easy recommendation from my end. Now, I've got an awesome side-scrolling action game and an amazing card game coming up soon, but first, let's do a few more of these rapid-fire games, starting with Super Meat Boy Forever. This is an auto-runner game set in the Meat Boy indie franchise, and apart from its silly but charming art style, what sets it apart is that it has 5,000 pre-registered levels to play through. Yes, 5,000 levels, and it only costs a single $1, so it's definitely worth checking out. Another very recent release is Sid Meier's Railroads, which is a fun tycoon simulation game that originally released on PC back in 2006 before being ported to mobile just a few weeks ago. For some people, this is their favorite game of all time, so it is worth taking for a spin if you've got $13 to spare. Now, I hope you're ready for a real deep cut here, because back in January, Card Survival Tropical Island released, and it was also covered on Mini Review not long ago. It might not seem like much, but this is a huge and incredibly hardcore survival simulation game where we expand a deck of cards in the hope to one day leave this deserted island that we're stranded on. And everything in this game, from locations to items and events, is presented by cards, and we can either interact with these directly or combine them with other cards. We may, for example, find a stone that we can then throw at a palm to receive a coconut that we can then combine with a sharpened stone to gain water and coconut shells. The game is priced at $16, but for the right player, there's truly nothing like it out there, which is also why it has a 4.9 score on both the Android and iOS app stores. And sticking to the card theme, Forward Escape the Fold is a bite-sized roguelike dungeon crawler that was already well liked on PC, but also recently got a mobile release. The dungeons we play through in this game are each made up of 3 columns of cards that represent monsters, gold, loot, health, and lots more, and we move through this dungeon by continuously choosing which adjacent card in the row above us we want to encounter next. Whenever we hit an enemy on this map, its health is subtracted from our health and armor, and the goal is basically to have enough health left so that we can take out the boss at the end of the dungeon to receive a powerful treasure. It's a $2 premium game, and I think you're gonna love it if you like casual dungeon crawlers. One of the games I haven't had the time to play yet is Arcane Vale, which seems like an awesome open world action adventure RPG. What I've heard about the game is that the controls aren't amazing, but the gameplay sounds solid based on the Steam reviews, and I hope to report back in the next video with a full review of this game. But if you wanna dive in sooner, now you can at least. You might not have played this next game, but I feel pretty confident that at least a good chunk of you guys have seen the ads for Snaker. But is this Archero-like bullet hell shooter actually fun to play? Well, let's start by addressing the elephant, or snake, in the room, because the big difference between this game and Archero is that we now control a snake that grows larger every time we pick up an item that sometimes drops from the enemies we kill. And this is a crucial difference because each section of the snake shoots at the enemies, so by growing larger, we also increase the number of bullets we fire. At the end of the day though, it is still a roguelike, so when we level up, we get to pick one of 3 random upgrades, and the goal is to complete each chapter without dying. There is also some permanent progression between each playthrough, but it's all very standard, and the same can be said for the heavy monetization, by the way, that exactly copies Archero, which I guess makes sense since the games are made by the same developer. So where does that leave us then? Well, overall, I did enjoy Snaker more than I did Archero, so if you're okay with ignoring the energy system and the pay-to-win in-app purchases, which are definitely there by the way, but if you can ignore them, it is a decently fun casual experience. And hey, in my last video about the best new mobile games of 2023, I mentioned that I had not yet played Brotato, but now I have, and I just love the game. This Vampire Survivors alternative has quickly become my new favorite game in this reverse bullet hell genre, and a big reason for that is just how fast-paced the game is. I mean, honestly, if you allow me to equip 6 silly weapons at a time, you have pretty much already won my heart. And by the time this video is out, the free version has probably also released, so you might be able to give it a try before deciding if you want to buy the ad-free version. Before we get to the giveaway, I need to also introduce you guys to Dungreed, which was covered on Mini Review recently. It's basically a roguelite platforming RPG where we dash our way through small dungeon-like maps while fighting monsters. It has all the usual roguelike dungeon crawling gameplay elements, but what truly sets it apart are the many unique weapon types that differ vastly from each other, and the accessories that add buffs to make each run feel different. The game can also be played with a Bluetooth controller, by the way, which I know is a big plus for some of you guys, so if you have $5 to spare and you love platform action games, I think you'll love this one. Alright then, now it is giveaway time, because I've got 5 keys for the Dead Cell publisher PlayDigit's brand new turn-based dungeon defender roguelite called Legend of Keepers. The game is so new, by the way, that I'm actually recording this before the game releases on mobile, but it looks fantastic based on the PC gameplay I've seen, and when I reached out to the publisher, they were immediately ready to give you guys some keys, so I think it's a win-win, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. So just like last time, to win one of these, all you have to do is reply to my latest tweet that I've linked down below using the word legend, and the first 5 replies that have the word legend in it gets one. Are you excited to try any of today's games? Let me know down below in the comment section, and check out this video next for the 12 very best roguelike deck builders on mobile. I'll see you guys there.